It'll take just a moment while we dial out before we have some folks on the line. Oh, here we go. Welcome to our live telephone town hall meeting. Thank you for being on with us. This is the Association of Professional Flight Attendants calling you, and we welcome you to participate in this live telephone town hall meeting by asking questions. We'll be talking about the negotiating process, and we welcome your questions. If you want to ask a question live in this forum, please press 0 right now or at any time during this call. I'll repeat this introduction once, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'll introduce your national president, and we'll be introducing some other staff who are here to answer your questions, and we'll be taking your questions in just a few minutes. So once again, this is a live telephone town hall meeting with the Association of Professional Flight Attendants. We'll be joined in a moment here by Laura Gladding, national president of the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, here to answer your live questions. The way you get in to ask a question live is by pushing 0, and we encourage you to do that now and get in with any questions you may have. If you come up with a question later on in the forum, push 0 then. We'll make sure we get to as many questions as we can. We'll be talking about the negotiating process, so if you have any questions about that, please press 0, get lined up to ask your question live. All right, that's enough from me. It's my pleasure to introduce Laura Gladding, National President, the Association of Professional Flight Attendants. Laura, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to join the call. This call we've asked the FACT reps as well as the mobilizers to participate. Your role is going to be crucial during this negotiation process. As we know, with social media and all of the other kind of ways that flight attendants are communicating, it's really important that we arm a fair amount of people with the absolute facts so that we can stop rumors and give them an opportunity to get the facts. So I thank you all very much for stepping forward and taking on this responsibility. We will try to get you whatever information you need and whatever tools you need to do that. And we're just really, really excited. We are very interested in having the mobilizers eventually sign up as FACT and have one program. Right now we have Kelly Harrington, who is coordinating the FACT program for the AA side, and Chris Hausman is the mobilizer chair from U.S. Airways, and so they're working very closely together. We're just really excited that the two groups have gotten together and that we were able to put this call together today. We are, and I'm sitting in a room with some of the negotiating committee, as well as our negotiations counsel, Rob Clayman. I'll have them introduce themselves to you in a moment, but we are right in the throes of negotiations here in Grapevine, Texas. We're on a lunch break, so if you hear any clanging of dishes, so we've put in a rough couple of weeks. The team has done an outstanding job. They have worked tirelessly. We are now at compensation, and this is where the rubber really hits the road. So it's pretty stressful, but we're very happy to take a break here and join all of you and hopefully answer some questions. We will be planning some special meetings before each base visit. We're doing an extensive base visit tour. Once we have a tentative agreement, schedule will come out shortly. I think what we're asking is the FACT and mobilizers to come early just to get some of the information that you may not be armed with prior to the meeting, but so that you get it before we actually give that information at the base visit. I think we contacted people differently. The FACT program people have given us telephone numbers to contact them, and so we call all FACT members before the call. I think the mobilizers were asked to call in. I think we're going to try to get this aligned where we can just call out to everyone when we do these phone calls. These have turned out to be very, very informative, and so we do plan on continuing them. So with that, I just want to say that this is a very exciting time. As you all know, the National Mediation Board found APFA to be the certified representative. We are now one. We're working very, very closely together. It's been a great experience. I can tell you that the negotiating team, again, I can't say enough good things about how they've coordinated, communicated, and the way they've really unified. They've done tremendous work, and I'm really honored to work with them. And so with that, I'm going to introduce them, and I'm going to start by asking them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Roger Holman, who was the previous MEC president.
Hi, everyone. I'm Roger Holman. I'm the former MEC president for the Association of Flight Attendants and at U.S. Airways, and I'm currently the liaison between AFA and APFA.
Hey, everybody. My name is Paul Hartshorn. I am a legacy U.S. Airways flight attendant based in Philadelphia, part of the Joint Negotiating Committee. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Margaret Barnes. I'm DFW-based flight attendant. I'm also the Vice President of Dallas and an appointed negotiator. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Hedrick. I am a Legacy AA flight attendant based in San Francisco. I am the current vice president there and appointed negotiator on the team.
I'm George Price. I'm Charlotte-based flight attendant, part of the JNC.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lenny Aragema. I'm an IOR flight attendant, executive committee member, negotiating team member, and welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Truon, DFW-based flight attendant on the Legacy American Airlines, and welcome.
And then we have Rob Clayman, Negotiations Counsel. Rob, want to say hello?
Yeah, this is Rob Clayman. I'm outside Negotiations Counsel for the committee.
All right, so we're going to start taking questions right away. I just want to let you know that we're not going to be able to answer direct questions about proposals at this time. I'll tell you that we've been negotiating hard, that we're at compensation, that we're very close to other items. In fact, as we speak, we're very close to closing out the scheduling items, which has not been announced, and that's great news. We're hoping to conclude that within the next day here in Grapevine. But we can't get too deep into the specifics. But feel free to ask any questions about the process or anything else. And again, just push 0 if you'd like your question to be heard.
Great. Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you, everybody, for being on the line with us. We're going to get our first question live from Molly in a moment, but if you'd like to ask a question like Molly is about to, please push 0 on your phone right now. We'll get you up as soon as we can. Molly, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question. I was on this call the last time we did a conference call, and I had asked a question about the membership receiving more detailed information about the items that were being discussed. We've gotten a lot of feedback from flight attendants, and even though in the hotlines every week all the items that have been supposedly resolved or put to rest are listed, we don't have any details about those. And the response I got was that something was going to be made available to us this summer. We're already past Labor Day, and we haven't seen anything pertaining to the details of our negotiation. So where are we with that, and will we see anything before we get our ballot to vote?
All right, so thank you, Molly, and I do remember you asking that on the last call. We did put something out in August that gave an update on where we were. No, we did not give the specifics, and I apologize if I miscommunicated that. We could never get into the deep weeds of the specifics of the tentative agreements, only because that's exactly what they are, is tentative. And although we feel pretty strong and confident that there's not going to be great altering to those agreements, they are tentative, and once we get really deep into the compensation later this week and next week, some things may have to move around. So we don't put those out. We never have. Few unions ever do. It's a kind of a divisive type measure, and what we do try to do is give you the progress of where we are. We did, however, post bullet points with our tentatives this time. So that's something we hadn't done in the past, and I think what I was saying is we'll be giving you bullet points on what we've negotiated, and we did do that.
Great. Thank you very much, Molly. Appreciate you being on. Let's go to our next live question from Thomas. Again, push 0 to ask a question live. Thomas, go ahead.
Hi. Good morning. This is Tom Kennison calling. I have a couple of questions. The first is about health care. I was kind of surprised a couple of weeks ago when I saw on JetNet that American HR was posting our new health care contributions for 2015. And so I made an email with Jennifer Brissett, who sent me to a woman named Kathy, who I believe is health and safety coordinator. And Kathy answered my questions essentially by saying, yes, what your understanding is correct. However, I wasn't able to get any deeper information. At the end of the email conversation, what we wound up with is this is a negotiated item. However, in the number of emails I've received as a fact coordinator and also as a regular member, I haven't seen health care addressed. My understanding and memory is that Doug Parker or whoever you negotiated with, Laura, said that the health care would be better than what we have. Now, in this JetNet communication from HR, I also saw that U.S. pilots U.S. Air Legacy pilots, their health care has been posted, and it is essentially the same as a Legacy American Airlines pilot's health care. I'm wondering, is our health care going to be better, cheaper, increased, changed? Where is that? And I just haven't seen anything about it in any communication. The second question is about scope. I have also
Tom,
not...
I answered one question at a time because I don't have a great memory, and I'll forget what my thoughts are.
That's fine.
All right, so, the company did put out, they have the election window every fall. They put the election window out. I have to say I have not done a deep dive into the costing out and how they'll be adjusted. Kathy Sharp is the person you spoke with, and Kathy Sharp is our National Health Coordinator, and she too has spoken to the company, and some of those numbers may move around. So we don't know exactly what that will be. With regard to the USAPA pilots, which are the U.S. Air pilots, in their MOU with the company and our pilots, which was signed off in 2013, they had agreed to go with the American healthcare. The U.S. Airways flight attendants have not done that yet. So negotiations, as I said, are now in the compensation piece. A huge piece of that is healthcare. And yes, of course, the team is very, very focused on trying to get whatever improvements we can to healthcare, or getting you enough money to cover any additional healthcare costs. So we are negotiating that. We're trying very hard. We know how important it is. We know how expensive it is. And so that is a big part of our negotiations as we speak. Did I get everything on healthcare?
Yeah, that's pretty good. I just was expecting to see something in the communications about it because it's my family, it's a big item for us. Thank you for that. Second question, I met with one of the Legacy U.S. Air appointed negotiators in operations a couple of months ago, and he described how lucky Legacy U.S. Air people are to have retained their scope, which has gone back, I guess Allegheny negotiated that for them, and I'm wondering where we are with scope as a collective bargaining agreement with the two organizations coming together, because I think scope is absolutely essential, and I would hate to not be able to enjoy it.
Okay, Tom, good question, and we are very close to scope. We're just about there, and I think you will be very happy to see what the outcome of our scope agreement is.
Happy to say thanks a lot, Laura.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Bye.
Great. Thank you very much, Tom. Let's get to our next live question from Sue. Reminder, please do push 0 if you'd like to ask a question live in our forum. Press 0 to ask a question. Sue, you're up.
Hello, Laura. My question is about vacation. As we move into the preferential bidding, we're going to be losing some of our vacation because we won't be able to extend it through our bidding process. Have we addressed that? Are we going to see a better, extension to our vacations?
Yeah, that's a good question, Sue. As you know, we have a very different vacation than the U.S. Air side. So we have far less days, but we have the ability to be removed from trips missed, which is anything that touches our vacation. And therefore, we're able to extend it and get the pay for the trips. And if you're a senior enough, and I've done this many times myself, you bid off and you can really get a good bang for your buck. You're also right in that when we do get preferential bidding on the AA side, we'll be switching over to the new vacation. I can at least tell you that we will not be keeping the trip missed on vacation, and we had agreed to that a while ago. But the vacation time will increase. So we will get more vacation days. The daily rate will be higher, and this is our proposal, but we feel very strongly about holding on to that. And we will be in line with the U.S. Airways side, but that will not happen until we get preferential bidding. So our vacations will probably, and this is not a definite, but our vacation will probably remain unchanged until we get preferential bidding. And if your next question is when will that be, I don't know. It could be a year, it could be a year and a half, but it's a ways off.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sue. Let's go to our next live question from Ricardo. Again, press 0 to ask a question. Ricardo, you're up.
Yes. Good afternoon, Laura. My name is Ricardo Melcher Soto. I'm based at IMA. Actually, I have a couple of questions. My first one is if you can give us any kind of idea about the wage increase, the percentage wage increase we're going to ask the company over the life of the contract. the last industry-leading contract in 2001, I still have the book, they sent to us back in 2001. We showed that the contract was going to be about 21% wage increase. Hoping that this round will be at least, 20 or the same 21%. My second question is about reserve. Are we keeping the same reserve system that we have here at American AA Legacy? Thank you.
Okay, Ricardo, thank you very much. First of all, with regard to wage increases, I can't give you an exact wage increase percentage right now because, again, we're in the midst of negotiating compensation. I will tell you that your wages will go up. All right, I can tell you that. We're not going to keep a stagnant wage. Nobody is as painfully aware of what we lost after the 2001 agreement. It's been horrible, and it's been just really, really insufferable for the flight attendants trying to catch up and pull themselves out of this hole. So we're working very hard to make sure that your daily hourly rate is as high as we can possibly get it to, and that's where we're headed. As far as reserve is concerned, again, we have very, very different reserve system than the U.S. Airways flight attendants, but the reserve system will be very different for all of us under the PBS. So we're trying to negotiate something that is going to be, in line with the PBS system. It's not going to, really slap down either culture. This is a very difficult negotiations because we have to be very respectful of the fact that we have different cultures and different things are important for people. So what I think you'll see is probably a hybrid as far as what type of reserve rotations we adopt, and then you'll see with preferential bidding, there's a whole new way of bidding reserve. And I know preferential bidding, and I don't mean to go off because you didn't ask this, is sort of a scary thing for the flight attendants, at least on the American side, because we haven't had as much education because it was a strike issue in 1993. But again, I can assure you that the IT systems have improved greatly. It will be transparent, and I feel very confident that once the proper education is able to be had by the American side flight attendants and we get all of the communication out about it, that you'll understand that it really is not a bad system and it's very workable. And so reserve is going to change for everyone is my end answer. And again, I think you're going to see the reserve, the rotation piece change as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ricardo. Let's get to our next live question from Carolyn. Carolyn, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank Laura and the Joint Negotiating Committee for all of your hard work. And Laura, I honestly can't think of anybody else better suited to lead us through this. And I know you've just touched on the preferential bidding system, but one question that I seem to get asked every day is, does the preferential bidding system need to be put in place before the fence comes down and the reserve lists are combined?
Well, here's the process. The fence is really not something that was created by the unions. Our agreements did not create a fence. What creates the fence, and the fence meaning flying on our own metal, is the fact that, A, they need a single operating certificate from the FAA, and that's going to take a while. The company is very aggressively trying to get all of their policy in line in hopes that they can get that the first quarter of 2015. I think that's very optimistic. It probably won't be till the second quarter at least of 2015. But at that point, they could, if they had the IT pieces in place, combine the metal and start flying people on each other's metal flights, provided we had joint collective bargaining agreements with both the APA and the APFA, which, given our timelines, we will. The other piece, though, and this is big, is the other huge project, if you will, hurdle in a merger is aligning the IT system. And so the first thing the company has to do is feed into this, antiquated FOS system all of the passenger service pieces. So that takes time, and the company does not believe they will be able to achieve that until the fall of 2016. Shortly after they achieve that, what they need to do is then feed in the pilot work rules and then the flight attendant work rules. So preferential bidding, the PBS system probably will not be in place until that time. And again, once the passenger service system is fed into the FOS system, it's at that point that we'll be able to, feed in the flight attendant work rules and switch metal. So that's really, It's not a fence with a definite date. It's when all of these things are accomplished. And hopefully they'll be able to do all of these things sooner rather than later.
Okay, Laura, also, in addition to that is the international and domestic, just on the Legacy American side, is there any movement on that as far as combining the reserve list as more people are trained?
Yeah, well, I think what we're looking at is the possibility of combining international and domestic next spring. I think our target date is May, and the company believes that they'll, May 2nd, I believe the company is very confident, which they are saying that they are, that they'll be able to combine the operations. At that point, the reserve list will be combined, and you'll still be bidding under our system. You will still get bid sheets. You'll be bidding. It'll almost be as if the bid sheets are being stapled together. So you'll still be able to bid lines as you are today, but that's our goal for the operation integrating. Let me just ask one of the other negotiators if they have anything else they want to add to this. They're saying no.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
And let's get right to our next question from Hunter. Reminder, you can push 0 to ask your question live. Hunter, you're up. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you, Hunter?
I'm a Legacy U.S. Flight attendant who's had 5 bases closed in the time I've been here. And so my life has been commuting, and I was concerned once the reciprocal cabin jump seat came out to notice that there was a possibility that flights could be weight restricted. And that's something we fought for hard, and I know my counterparts at Delta don't have weight restricted jump seat. Is that something that you guys are working on in the negotiation for the high commuter population I understand that we both have?
Hey, Hunter, it's Paul Hartshorn from Philadelphia. How are you?
Good.
We've been working long hours on the cabin jump seat issue. There's more issues that we're dealing with other than the weight restriction. We're obviously dealing with the fact that they are both boarded completely differently, or I should say awarded completely differently. So that's something that we're still working on here. With the team has come together. We've obviously had our differences because, as I said, it's awarded completely differently on both sides. The weight restriction is an issue because Legacy American does not have that. We do. So we are still working through those issues, but trust me, it's at the forefront of our minds for the commuters that we have. And just to clear up, American has had the same amount of bases closed. They have many commuters that we've heard from as well. So it's an issue that spans both work groups, and we are definitely working hard on that.
Great. And that kind of just brings up a second question. The Legacy U.S. stuck commuting policy was based on a system of seniority, which, since I've been commuting 27 years, really was quite predictable. And I'm not sure if the new system will be or won't be, and I'm looking forward to trying it. But if it isn't, we have a stuck commuting policy based on a certain way of pass writing that they are now changing mid-contract. Are we going to get immediate relief, and do the two stuck commuting policies currently jive up, or is American's more liberal, which is what I've heard, but I can't confirm?
Both airlines have commuting policies that are quite similar. There's just a minor difference in them in terms of canceled flights, and we are working through that to bring to the commuters at both airlines the best of both. So we're pretty confident we're going to get that.
Great. Thanks, guys.
No problem. Take care, Hunter.
All right, great. Appreciate that, Hunter. We're going to go to our next question in just a moment. But, Laura, we've actually had Randy join us on the speaker line here remotely. Do you want to introduce him before we go to John's question next?
Sure. Randy Troutman.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Yeah, sure. I'm Randy Troutman, Miami International Base President and International Negotiator. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And
Negotiator extraordinaire, I'll add.
Negotiator extraordinaire, Randy. Excellent. Thank you for being on with us, Randy. Let's get John's question up live next. Randy, John, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I'm John. I'm a Legacy U.S. flight attendant based in Philadelphia. My question concerns the ABR and basically what you've been telling us all along. According to the ABR and what you've been saying, that only open sections of the contract will go to the binding arbitration process in the event that we do not have a tentative agreement. My question concerns if we do get a tentative agreement and it goes to the ratification process and then fails the ratification process, the membership doesn't vote for it, what then goes to the arbitration process? Because technically there would be no open sections. Everybody has agreed to it except for the membership. What would go to arbitration in that scenario, and how would it be determined what sections go to arbitration?
Okay, I'm going to ask Rob Clayman, our negotiations counsel, to answer that question for you, John.
Right now, procedures for the arbitration and the issue that you've asked is something that's under discussion because it hasn't been absolutely determined which issues, and it's a very good question, would go to arbitration in the event of a rejected TA. One school of thought, and I'm just throwing this out there because it's definitely one way of thinking about it, but it may not ultimately be the way that the way that's adopted, which is to think about a rejected TA in effect puts you back where the parties were right before the last proposal, which resulted in the agreement. So if the last agreement or last proposal covered 6 items, and there were 6 items open during the course of those last negotiations, and those are the ones that would have gone to arbitration had there not been a TA, and those probably could be identified pretty easily, then you're put back in that position. You're put back in the position as if there had not been a TA. You would look back and determine which issues would have gone to arbitration, and arguably those are the issues. Those issues would be the ones submitted to arbitration in the event a tentative agreement is not endorsed by the membership.
Thank you. That actually makes a whole lot of sense. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Great. Thanks a lot, John. Let's get to our next live question from Joe. Reminder, you can push 0 to ask a question live. We've got a few people in line, but if you do come up with a question, that'll be one of your last opportunities to ask it. So go ahead and push 0 on your phone now if you'd like to ask a question in our live forum. Joe, you're up.
Hello, my name's Joe. I'm based at JFK. I was just wondering, 2 questions. The first one is, if a TA is reached, will we receive full language for the voting process, or will it just be bullet point?
It'll be full language, Joe.
Okay. And then the other question is for the Legacy American Airlines flight attendants. Is there any chance of a combined reserve list for international and domestic at any basis prior to the operation being combined?
We've actually offered that up, particularly in New York, and I think you said you were based at Kennedy. We realize that the reserve situation at Kennedy is pretty dire, and it's a result of flying being moved and lost at Kennedy and a fairly junior base at LaGuardia. So the base presidents, I should say, at LaGuardia and Kennedy have been very proactive in trying to combine the bases, even if it were just as an experiment as far as the reserve list. But we've been unable to do that. But we will continue to try. As I said, it's around the corner. It will happen in May. But in New York in particular, we realize that there's a lot of upset and things are not going very smoothly. So we'll continue to try to do that earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Let's get right to Holly next. Holly, you're up. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, this is Holly from LA. I have 2 questions. One, as far as motivation, I assume the union is motivated to complete our negotiations by the 19th, but does the company have any motive to maybe stall negotiations beyond the 19th and let it go to arbitration? And then my second question, will the company get this door opening and closing thing involved in our negotiations, and could they hold our contract ransom until we all agree to open and close the door?
All right, so let me go to question number 1 as far as motivation. I think the company should be motivated to get a contract because really this has been such an incredible merger and an incredible story. And I'll just go off on that for a second if you would indulge me. Nobody has come out of bankruptcy with the promise of the industry rate contract, never mind the industry leading one we're trying to achieve. This company has seen profits that were not foreseen by anybody in the industry on Wall Street or anywhere else. So the company needs to keep that good story going, and if we don't achieve a contract and we're forced to go to arbitration, it will be somebody's fault and it won't be ours. So I think the company understands that our relationship, the relationship we're enjoying now, will be a little bit different if we're forced into the arbitration scenario. And, you know, I do think this is a new management team, a new culture, a new attitude. I do believe that they're motivated. So hopefully I'm right. I'm an eternal optimist, as most of you know, but I think we can get there. As far as the door closing procedures, that was one of the things that I mentioned earlier. The company was kind of scurrying to get in place in order to get their single operating certificate. But there were other things they looked at with the door opening, and that was injuries, which the U.S. side tells us there have not been any except in training, and on-time departures, which is very, very important to this company. So they went with the U.S. Procedure. We have had discussions with the company. Our concerns, of course, are people being charged with late departures. We do not want our members being charged with late departures because they didn't close the door on time, when all of the things that need to be in place to close the door are not, and we're very, very concerned about injuries. Because although the injuries are not there on the U.S. side, it's because it's been their procedure. We don't want flight attendants now starting to close the door, the agents being used to it, them doing it, and us getting hurt. So we have had many meetings with the company. We're on sort of a 3-month trial basis, if you will. The company is implementing the policy. We're not filing presidential grievance until we see how it goes. We want to ensure that there's no unnecessary discipline, late charges, and we would really, most importantly, like to monitor to see if there are any injuries, and we'll revisit it if there are.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Holly. Let's get to our next live question from Karen. Karen, you're up. Karen, are you there?
Hi, this is Karen. Sorry. My screen had gone dead. I'm based in Philly, and this has sort of been covered earlier, but my question is, I've seen emails from APA where they have covered in exquisite detail everything they are negotiating for. Why don't we have something like that?
APA is, first of all, I'm going to have to take you back to Tempe, Arizona, when we all cut our deals. We cut a very different deal than the pilots did and the TWU. They negotiated a 6-year contract and a cost associated with that contract that was based on an industry rate in the aggregate, which is what we talked about at arbitration. We did not engage in that same type of agreement back then because we knew that the pilots' industry rate was higher. It was higher as a result of the Delta pilots getting a premium contract when they were coming out of bankruptcy. So we did not feel that was a square deal for us, and so we asked for this other process. At the time, it was with the hopes that United would have finished their negotiations. They have not. So we have an opener saying that we would add the value if they got a contract. So the APA is now negotiating, they're sort of moving the furniture. They're not supposed to be negotiating anything greater in value. That being said, of course, they're going to be communicating that they are. God bless them. I want them to get everything they're asking for, and I'm sure they want us to do the same. But I don't know that they're entitled to anything else. Their deal is, again, it's a value. And so they're kind of negotiating on that. So they're a little bit freer to post things because they're, again, moving furniture and they're trying to figure out where people want things. And ours, it's a whole different ball game. And I have to say, and, you know, I work very closely with the APA, but they do have some problems with that. And it has caused some disruptions. I don't think that that's a place we want to go, to be perfectly honest with you.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. Let's get to Aaron's question live next. Aaron,
hey, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Aaron, LAX Domestic. I have a question regarding pay protection. As I'm on the line talking to my fellow crew members, the issue constantly comes up about full trip pay protection. Now, I know that perhaps our hourly wage will go up, and that's fantastic, but with one hand giveth, one hand taketh, and I'm just hoping that pay protection is as high of a priority to our negotiating team as it is to us on the line.
Okay, I can assure you it is, and I'm going to let Julie Hedrick from San Francisco to answer this question.
Hey, Eric. We definitely hear the membership loud and clear that pay protection is very important to everyone on both sides, and we are working as hard as we possibly can, and we are very close to an agreement on pay protection that I think you'll be very happy with.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, and I thank you all very much for your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, before we move on, Randy, did you have anything else to say about pay protection? Because this has been near and dear to every single negotiator, and they have just shed blood, sweat, and tears to get us the best pay protection as possible. And so, Randy, do you want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I would. And thanks, Julie. We've been working on pay protection since the team first assembled back in January. And obviously, we had it in the LBFO. It was supposed to transfer over to the C. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm getting some interference. Hello?
We can hear you, Randy.
Loud and clear.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. When we went out on the road, we obviously had an interim bid line guarantee protection, which we marketed just that. It was an interim protection until we were able to achieve a pay protection. And I can tell you it's been the focus of negotiations since day one, and it continues to be right on through today. So we are doing everything possible to secure the maximum amount of pay with the least amount of obligation. We don't want our flight attendants to be sitting reserved to achieve this. So that's really been our goal. It remains our goal, and we're going to see it through.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Steve's question next. Steve, you're up.
Hello. My name is Steve. I'm International Miami, and I have a kind of a half-hearted joke, but it is kind of serious. I would like to know the panel's feelings on the odds of us getting a contract right out the gate as opposed to having it have to go to arbitration. If you could give a ballpark odds, it would be great, and I want to thank each and every one of you for everything you do for us and for our industry, and I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, Steve. Roger wants to take this one.
Hey, Steve, it's Roger Holman. I think that it's important here to know that the negotiating committee feels pretty confident that we are going to have an agreement by the end of next week. We are all working tirelessly to be able to achieve that, and I think that we're pretty confident. I think that was your question.
Yes.
Steve wanted to know the odds. Let me just say this. I am always going to things absolutely positively believing 100% that it can be achieved, because if I don't believe that, I can't give the 150% needed to get it achieved. So if you ask me, I'm always going to say yes, because I know it's doable, and I know that if I truly believe that it can be done. So for me, I'm an absolute positive yes vote on that one. I think we can do it. Yes.
And that's why I voted yes all along the way, because of you, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Let's go to our next live question from Demetrius. Demetrius, you're on the line. Go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Demetrius, Legacy U.S. Airways flight attendant in Charlotte. My question that I wanted to ask is in regards to after a joint contract is, if we do get a joint contract and it is ratified by the membership, a lot of people wanted to know about base transfers. Now, on the crew news sessions, people ask that, and management has stated that it would be sometime in 2016 once the flight operating systems are in place. When America West and U.S. Airways ratified a tentative agreement, the unions worked out an interim period where flight attendants could transfer from Philadelphia, Phoenix, Charlotte, Phoenix, with the understanding that they would work under parts of the pre-merger contract. Is that something that is being discussed amongst with management. We're an interim period before we are under the same flight operating systems, though we will have a single contract, a single operating certificate, but flight attendants would be able to transfer with their seniority to a base and working under that particular Legacy Airlines rules until everything is implemented.
That's a great question, Demetrius. Yes, we have not gotten into heavy discussions on that, but that is something that we would like to talk to the company about. As you stated, 2016 is the time when they think that they'll have the IT program set enough where people can transfer, and there's nothing we're doing that, in any way could delay that. We would like to expedite it. But the answer I've gotten from the company so far is they'd have to look into some payroll things because, again, everything is electronic and everything has to be refed. But that is something that we'll look into. No promises, but if there's a way that we can do it and get people the ability to transfer based on their seniority sooner rather than later, you can bet that we'll work on that as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Demetrius. Appreciate you being on the line. We're going to go to our next question from Timothy. We do have quite a few questions left in line, but this is your last opportunity to press 0 to ask a question in our forum. We've got Timothy up.
Hi, this is Timothy from Miami International. I had a question about the Purser program and what is being done as far as contractually regarding pay, bid denials, and possibly doing away with the Purser requirement for narrow-body aircraft, especially on international. Has anything been signed off yet? Generally, what are we seeking, if that's possible to be answered?
Well, I can't answer all of the question. I can tell you that I think you'll be happy with the results of the qualifications on domestic. As far as the pay, again, we're in compensation, and we are asking for far greater compensation for pursers, especially on the AA side, because it's been so meager. The shortage of pursers is in great part due to the fact that we don't pay our pursers. We give them all of this responsibility. We ask them to come out and take that responsibility on, and we don't pay them. I think we'll see with the combined operation greater pay and an overall better program, more people going for purser, and so the bid denial piece should take care of itself. We're hopeful. So I think you'll be happy with the outcome on purser.
And with the door arming procedures, I assume that the purser resignations are probably going to even get higher, is my guess.
Well, again, look, we're asking for more pay for that. Again, on the U.S. side, they've been closing the door. I've spoken to a lot of and I'm not saying, where I fall on this. We've told the company that we are opposed to us taking on the new responsibility of closing the door, and we said that very clearly. But there are flight attendants on the AA side who actually would like the responsibility because it gives them a little bit more control, and the agent isn't coming back and, having to reopen the door because they've closed it prematurely. We are trying to come up with a system where you're not going to be, pulling the door and fully shutting it, but that you will have more control over when that door is shut without the responsibility of taking a delay because you're doing it in compliance with all the things that are in place. So, again, let's see how these 3 months go, the first 3 months. If it's not working and it backfires, then you'll see us jump into action.
Great. Thanks, Timothy. Appreciate that question. Going right to Tracy's question live next. Tracy, go ahead.
Hi. My first question was going to be about the duration of the contract. It's my hope and the hope of a lot of flight attendants, LUS side, that we don't get stuck with a 5+ year contract, having been either arbitrated or passed by tentative agreement. The second is, I'm going to piggyback on Hunter's jump seat question, that we really do want to retain the integrity of the jump seat for active flight attendants only. And because, that's the way we've been doing it at Legacy US. I'm not sure how Legacy American does, but to us that's very, very important.
Hey Tracy, it's Paul Hartshorn from Philadelphia from Legacy US Airways. The first part was the duration. Duration, we're still in talks with the company. That usually is one of the things that comes obviously towards the end of negotiations. We are aware that many on both sides would like a shorter duration. Again, that's something we'll have to leave until the end. We are working now on our proposal for that. so stay tuned. The cabin jump seat we've had, as I said already before, I'll try not to be repetitive, but it has been we've focused a lot of time on it because, as I said, the two operations have completely different ways of boarding them. One has weight restriction, one does not. So we've been working through those issues here, and we are looking to protect the integrity of the jump seat in terms of it being for active flight attendants only. I think you probably know in the U.S. Airways contract there is a whole list of people that can ride it and a priority, and we're looking to preserve most of that as well. So I hope that gives you some information.
That does. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and before we go on, we were just joined by yet another negotiator, and I'd like him to introduce himself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Fernandez, based at Miami International. I've been flying for American Airlines for the last 15 years. Most of my 15 years, I was actually based at JFK. I just returned from lunch, so happy to be here on the call. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Tracy. Appreciate you being on our call. David's up next.
Hi, this is Dave Zezetek of Miami International. I have a two-part question. I was wondering if we were able to achieve in adopting the U.S. Airways sick policy, and are we going to see any improvements to our injury on duty policy and procedure, especially when it comes to opening and closing the aircraft door?
Okay, we have not concluded the negotiations on the sick policy, and IOD is in that same section. So we're fighting very, very hard on that one. There are goods and bads, negatives and positives to putting a sick policy in the contract, and we're weighing all of those difficult decisions. As you know, our sick policy is not in the contract, and we have had tremendous success, at least mostly successful, in filing nods and grievances and protecting people who are sick. And we want to continue that ability. Once you put very distinct parameters into a contract, it's a little bit harder to get the company to move off those. So we're working on all of those issues. Obviously, the sick pay and accrual days at American are horrible, and obviously that is a major priority for us to improve. And our IOD is also extremely poor. So these are areas that are very important that we are seeking great improvement to, but we just have not gotten deep into the weeds on this one yet. That's a big part of our compensation piece.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Laura. I appreciate everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, David. Let's get to Debbie's question live next. Debbie, you're up.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm an ILR purser, and my question pretty much was answered prior to this, so I'll go on to another question pertaining to pursers. There's a rumor out there that we will be re-interviewed to become a purser. Is there any truth to that?
No, there's not.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good news. Thank you for everything you guys do.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Great, thanks, Debbie. Let's go to Heather live.
Can I just, I want to just clarify,
Sure.
Dave, before, the question before, had said something about the new door opening procedures, and I just wanted to be clear, and I think he probably just misspoke, and was talking about the door closing procedures, but there is no procedure for us to open the doors in our future, so I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, sorry, Ian, go ahead.
No problem at all. Heather, you're up. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Heather. I am a Legacy U.S. Flight attendant. And you might have answered this question earlier, but when I was on call to get to the queue, I heard the very end of it, so I apologize in advance if this has been answered. I've worked for 27 years in Charlotte, and then the last 2 years in Phoenix. And most of those years I've commuted from LA. So my question is, I know you stated that we're going to get the single operating certificate possibly the first or the second quarter of 2015, and most likely the IT system in fall of 2016. Now, my question is, when do you think we'll be able to transfer from U.S. bases to American bases? When will it be open flow to transfer from base to base?
Okay, Heather, you will definitely be able to do that at the point that the IT system is fed. So that will definitely happen then. But we had questions question earlier asking if there was any move afoot to try to negotiate something where somebody could do that transfer and maybe work under the work rules of the other side, because there's an implementation process and there'll be a lot of things that'll be happening. We approached the company. The company said they would have to check with payroll and see what the IT is, but I think what we were saying is we are trying to, and will try. Honestly, this has not been at the front of the negotiations discussions. We need to get a contract first, but we will try to approach the company and see if there's any way we can open the door to transfers earlier than that. No promises, but we're going to, we certainly think that would be an important addition.
Well, as I said, speaking as a flight attendant who has gone through exact same thing, because we worked under, as Charlotte, when we transferred into Phoenix, it's a whole different ballgame, different rules, different pay. I mean, the pay amount was the same, but with hours of operation and all that stuff was completely different. So they have done that. It was our choice to transfer to different work rules, but if you can do that, that would be wonderful. And I thank you guys for all you do.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Heather. Let's go to our next live question from Gary. Gary, you're up.
Yeah, hi, my name is Gary. I'm based here at Dallas-Fort Worth, and I fly international. As everyone has, we have lost so much in the last 14 years in our work that we've given to. It's been described as blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of other things, but as a 35-year flight attendant, finding that my pension was frozen at 27 years, the only compensation that I got for that was to continue to work hard, was the company's match on a 401k. Are we going to have anything in place in our contract to keep that match in 401k, or some sort of compensation towards some sort of a retirement program of some sort back in our contract?
Yes, that's very, very important to us, Gary, is getting a good competitive 401k company contribution only plan. As you may know, when we negotiated that aggressive 401k plan that we have in place on the American side now, it was calculated to sort of replace what you would have lost when your pensions were frozen. And we, feel as though it's still going to be very, very important for people to be able to plan for their future and have an aggressive 401k. That is a very big part of our compensation package as well. But I did happen to notice that you say you're a 35-year flight attendant and your pension was frozen at 27 years. And I don't know how that happened, but your pension was really frozen in 2012. So November 2012. So at that point, whatever years you had credited years toward your pension, at that point, they should still be a part of your pension. So just, I don't want to get deep into your pension stuff, just I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I realized that when I said that. The other thing is any type of medical, retirement medical benefits.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That is going to be far harder to achieve. We can try anything, but that is just something that is gone in the industry, gone in this country. The healthcare exchange and the new healthcare laws are supposed to be, helping with retirement healthcare. You can go to retirement at apfa.org and see what's available to you once you do retire. Send an email to Patrick Hancock, but I am not going to sit here and say that I feel any bit of confidence that retiree health care will be returning.
Okay. As a suggestion, since we are such a larger group now, as a 26,000 flight attendant plus and growing, and planning on growing more, I hope, could our union put in some sort of a package for retirement medical benefits?
It would be so expensive. We have looked into this. I actually, prior to bankruptcy, actually the summer before bankruptcy, I met with the TW, APA, and Lazard, which is a financial advisors in New York. And we spent a good deal of time asking them to go over and see what exactly would that look like, because they had put together a plan for GM years before. It is incredibly expensive. I don't know that it would cost you any less than it would just to pay for the retirement benefits before your Medicare kicks in. So it's not something we haven't thought about and looked at, and maybe again, once we get a better look at what happens with the health care moving forward, we can revisit, but it was not really a good deal. It would not have helped the employees at all.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Gary. Appreciate you being on. We're going to try to get through the rest of the questions that we have in our queue right now. Next up is Liz. Liz, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you, first of all, for your dedication and commitment and hard work for all of us. It's greatly appreciated. The question that I have is, in the combining of domestic and international, are we going to maintain separate bid sheets, meaning that if you want an international line, you can bid strictly an international line, or will it combine domestic flying in with international flying? I'm thinking with preferential bidding you can do that, but are we combining before preferential bidding? Thank you.
Hey, Liz. How are you? Nice to hear your voice. Anyway, yeah, we
How'd you know?
After all the years. We are combining the applications in May. We will not have PBS in May. So from May until the time that we have PBS, you will get bid sheets as you do today, but they'll be sort of stapled together, if you will. So the lines and the sequences will look very similar, and you'll be bidding a domestic line or an international. The difference is you'll be able to trade and pick up and whatnot in different operations. After, when PBS begins, you'll basically build your own schedule with the days off that you want, with types of trips you want, and at that point you can integrate into your own schedule international and domestic trips. Did you want to say something, Neil?
No, that pretty much covers it. But some of the lines, however, will contain sequences that have mixed segments like domestic and international. So domestic flight attendants who are internationally qualified obviously will be able to bid for those trip selections. But as Laura pointed out, there will be two bid sheets stapled together. All of the international flight attendants like IOR, JFK, IMA, basically they will be Miami-based. So Miami international flight attendants will be Miami-based flight attendants. IOR flight attendants will move on to be Chicago-based flight attendants. JFK-based flight attendants will then be considered LaGuardia-based flight attendants. And those flight attendants at those bases who are internationally qualified will be able to bid for pure international trip selections or trip selections that contain a mixture of domestic and international flying.
So when you say the mixture of international domestic, are you saying like it is today that you can say do a San Juan turn out of Miami and continue on to Dallas to pick up another international leg?
Right.
That's
Maybe,
correct.
yes. You probably will see a little bit more of that because the operation is combined. Pretty much there'll be a domestic bids and international bids, but you will see more of the mixture. And of course, you'd have to be qualified internationally to fly those trips.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz.
Great. Let's go to Cindy live next.
Hi, everyone. This is Cindy from Kennedy, and I've got a question regarding our InfraRep program in general. Once the TA comes out, or will we as InfraReps be getting more frequent emails? Will there be mailings being sent to our homes? Because there's going to be a lot of information that's going to probably need to get out quickly, plus a whole lot of rumor and damage control once things get swirling. How can we as InfraReps assist you all as our committee with getting this information out in a timely manner?
Well, we're going to have lots of assignments for you, and hi, Cindy, by the way. Nice
Hi, Laura. How is everyone? Hello to all there.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to look. Between Chris Hausman and Kelly Harrington and Leslie Mayo and our wonderful people at O'Neill & Associates who are helping us with PR. We do plan on getting you copious information. As I said before, little meetings before base meetings, getting you the information you need. If you guys think that these phone calls are successful, we will get team members on here and we'll do these calls more often so that you can get the questions. You can always contact somebody as a fact rep to clear up a rumor and get the information. But if, any tools we can provide to help you, we will, because we just think getting the correct information out is vital in getting a contract ratified. But yes, you will be getting mailings and emails, and I think Leslie, Kelly, and Chris will let you guys know what to expect with regard to that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Cindy. Let's get Chris up live next. Chris?
Hello. Hi, how's everyone doing? Thanks again for all your hard work. My name is Chris. I'm from LUS in Charlotte, and my question is back to the PBS. We are contractually obligated to have a PBS system in place by February 28th of 15. And my question is, Laura, as you were saying that you don't anticipate PBS for the entire group until sometime in 16 because of the IT, does that mean that there's going to be basically an IT change with what will be then our current PBS, or are you just going to kind of integrate all the flight attendants into that existing system?
All right. I'm not going to be able to give you real technical answers just because I don't have a technical brain. I can tell you that the Legacy US will get their PBS in February, is what I'm told.
Yes.
But I'm told the AA side will not be able to get it probably until we integrate the systems, because there's going to be a lot of, you guys are going to be operating on one platform, we'll be operating on another platform, and then we'll have to feed that together. So although the Legacy US side will be working on preferential bidding starting in February, the AA side will not be for quite some time, and it is an IT problem. It is the companies needing to get in the passenger service system fed into FOSS, and then the pilots again, because they had a contract sooner, the basic contract sooner, and then us. But do any of the...
I think it's important to...
This is Roger taking over here.
I'm sorry, Chris. I think it's important to point out that the American computer system is FOSS, and which we believe at this time is going to be the crew management system. And so there's going to be a time period for integration in order to bring the American flight attendants over to PBS. All of the rules and everything need to be loaded into that system, and at the same time, all Legacy US will be included in that. Did that answer your question?
Well, sort of. So what you're saying is basically the platform or the inputs, the parameters, everything is going to be pretty much the same, or that you're going to have to pretty much redo everything and it's going to be a little bit different?
Well,
basically, are we going to have to relearn all of this stuff over again?
No. The system that you're learning currently, I've seen some IT stuff just at a meeting about 2 weeks ago, and it stays pretty much consistent with what you're learning currently.
Okay, that was basically my question. Thank you, Roger.
That's what we consider.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Let's get to our next live question from Tim. Tim, you're live on the line. Go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah, hi, Laura. Hello, everyone. This is Tim from LaGuardia. Laura, I'm just curious. This is mostly a Legacy American Airlines question, but I was wondering if there's any news on the remaining pre-funding monies that were owed to us from the company in regards to the grievance that was filed. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. That's a great question, and one I get all the time. It's a little complex to answer, and because I don't know where we're going to wind up with this, and possibly as far as litigation, I try to say as little as possible publicly. So basically, though, we negotiated the company's contribution to our pre-funding would come back once there was a successful conclusion to an 1114 filing, and that was a motion that was never filed in bankruptcy, and the closing of our VIVA account. We're working very closely with TWU on this because they're in the exact same place we are. But TWU started their pre-funding back in the early 90s, and of course we didn't start until 2001. Well, 2002 I think was our first paycheck that was actually taken out. So they have a lot more money in the fund. Additionally, in the 1113, when that language was negotiated, it was negotiated first by TWU and then by us. So it would be difficult to go forward and not do it in coordination, not to say that we'll have the same arbitration. We filed a presidential grievance. They have not filed yet, although my understanding is they do plan to file shortly, my understanding. I meet with them often on this. We have spoken to our attorneys. The company's position is, and I think they believe they can still file an 1114. 1114 motion in bankruptcy court basically says you just abrogate all of your retirement funds. You no longer have an obligation. What the company did in bankruptcy, and this was, early on in the bankruptcy, tried to get cute and filed what they call an adversary motion so that they didn't have to file an 1114. And basically that motion said that these benefits were invested and they didn't even have to go through that they, the employees had no right to them. The judge rejected the company's argument, but he waited an awfully long time to do it, and theirs was just sort of a motion. So there could even be a trial now. So the company could go to trial on this issue. Whether they're going to or not has not been decided. So there's so many moving pieces. I think what I want you to hear from this is that we're still committed to taking this fight on. We still believe that we're entitled to the money. We still feel as though the promise of getting the money back when the 1114 was concluded, the fact that the company didn't file it is their fault, not ours, and we're going to pursue it. But it's not as easy as you would think. There's so many layers to this that it's going to take a lot of coordination both with our attorneys and the TWU and a real strategy as to when is the appropriate time to move forward. But I'm glad you asked it, Tim. I hope I didn't confuse you further.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you asking that question. Let's go to Wesley live next. Wesley, you're up.
Yes, I'm Wesley. I'm based at Legacy American in Miami, and I have a question about the foreign national agreement. I haven't really read anything about that. Is that being addressed at this time along with the other items, or because it really affects us here in Miami?
Yeah, thank you, Wesley. We have had some discussion on the foreign national agreement because we want to know where the company is and where the South American countries are with regard to the laws that actually, and I don't know if you remember this, but when we first accepted the foreign national flying, it was to be able to fly into cities that we were taking over from the Eastern Airlines that local laws required there was a certain amount of nationals hired to do that flying. So
I do remember that. I do.
Okay, so we did that, and now we need to know where do those countries stand with those laws. I will tell you that there's no move afoot by the company, and nor has there been since I started negotiating, to expand that agreement. They are able to hire almost twice as many foreign nationals, or more than twice, I guess right about twice as many right now, and they have not. So they've really tamped down on that. I don't know that it's been as successful as Bob Crandall thought it would be back in the day. But we are doing an evaluation of that, seeing what requirements are needed and what we can do. So yes, it is being discussed, and we have asked for information regarding foreign national agreements and local laws.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wesley.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Everybody who's still on the line, we've got 5 more questions that we will be taking, and then we're going to unfortunately be out of time. We're going to take Ellen, Naomi, Aaron, Francis from California, and Francis from Indiana. So stay on the line. We'll get your questions answered. If you haven't gotten through our queue yet and you're not in line to ask a question, I'm going to give you an email address in a moment here that you can email your question to. We want to make sure we answer absolutely everybody's questions from this call. So Ellen, you're up live next.
Hi, just a quick question. What's the time frame when you present a TA to us on September 19th? When would it be implemented? Is November 1st likely? I know we have to have some time for road shows and voting, but would this start November 1st or December 1st?
Well, that's very aggressive. We conclude negotiations on September 19th, although we've been very disciplined about trying to get full. I'm telling you, this team has worked very, very hard. Getting contractual language written as we go along, we'll still need to get everything prepared to send out. Somebody asked earlier, I believe it was Joe, from Kennedy if we were going to send out full contractual language, and we answered that we would and we will. But it will take some time to get it printed and out. We're planning our roadshow schedule somewhere in between October 6th and November 8th. It's a very aggressive schedule. I think they have us at 22 cities in 30 days. But what we'll do is, or 22 visits, roadshow visits in 30 days. But I think that what would happen is that at some point in there, before the base visits, we would try to get the ballots out. So the ballot count on ratification count would probably fall sometime in mid-November. The dates have not been set. And during this negotiation process, we are going to be negotiating an implementation timeline. The implementation timeline is necessary because of the IT that I described before, and it's necessary because, of the merging of the two contracts. A couple of things with that. If it's something, obviously the monetary things we can get right away, but other types of things, scheduling and more complex things may take a little bit more time. So we'll have to capture the value of the things that we can't have right away, and we'll be trying to negotiate things, and we've done this in the past, some sort of penalty to say if we're told that something very favorable to us would be implemented on July 1st, 2015. If it's not, something else kicks in until they do it. So there's a lot to be negotiated with the implementation timeline. I think the big bang, the money, and that type of thing can be implemented immediately, and so that would probably, if the ratification was sometime in November, we would try to have that effective December 1st.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ellen. We're going to get to Naomi, then Aaron, then Francis and Francis. That email, if you did not get in the line to ask a question live for this call, is factrep@apfa.org. Again, that's FACTREP@apfa.org. Factrep@apfa.org. Get a pen and paper if you want to write that down, and I'll read it again before the end of our call. Naomi's up live next. Naomi, go ahead.
Yes, hi. This is Naomi. I'm a San Francisco-based flight attendant. I'd like to thank all of you for all your hard work, and especially to Julie Hedrick, who has always been very helpful at our base. My question is in regard to the door closing procedure that is going to be required of legacy AA flight attendants. I know that we have a lot of issues on the injury aspect of it, and also charging flight attendants with delays, but I'm just wondering if the union has also considered, I know all of us have been in a situation where we're approaching our legal limits due to like the 15-hour duty day. It would seem to me that it's a conflict of interest to the company to have the flight attendants be closing the door, whereas if we delayed it a couple minutes, we might be delayed to the point where our illegalities are going to kick in. And, the gate agents are always kind of on the side of the company in that respect. But has the union addressed any of this as, flight attendants might not want to close the door on time in certain instances, and I'm just curious how that might play out and how it maybe has played out at U.S. Air.
Well, I have full confidence the flight attendants are going to close the door when the cabin is ready and when they're supposed to close it. But I think it's a little bit to our advantage to have control over that, because I've been on flights where we would be going illegal and there was a delay in closing the door, just, a closing of the door knowing that we were going illegal beforehand. So, it kind of cuts both ways. If it's 3 minutes to departure and we're going illegal in 2 minutes and the agent was told, run down, quick shut the door so they can't get off, I've had that happen to me. And this way, we know what our rules are and we can do that. But I don't think that's going to be a big factor. Let me ask the U.S. people, has that been a problem on your property as far as... They're shaking their heads no, I promise.
Okay.
But, this, again, we're going to have to monitor this, Naomi. I just don't want people to think that it's going to go away. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to protect the flight attendants. First thing, of course, always is safety, but, second is no unnecessary delays. Flight attendants have tremendous amount of responsibility, confusion at boarding and at departure, and we need everyone to just do what they're supposed to do and not worry about things like that.
All right. Thank you
Thanks,
so
ma'am.
much, and thanks for all your hard work, and I'm sure that we're going to get a great contract, and thanks again.
Okay, and thank you, Naomi, and I'll have you know that Julie's been a great help for us here, too. So we're sorry we stole her, but we're very glad to have her.
We are, too. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Naomi. We're going to go to Aaron live next, then we've got the two Francis's, just 3 questions left. Aaron, you're up. Go ahead.
Hi, Laura. It's Erin Cronin, IOR. Just wanted to go back a little bit about pay protection, and I did get cut off on some of Randy's answers, so I didn't hear everything. Are they trying to negotiate pay protection for the employees that fly high time, and to include all of the trips that they've picked up?
Okay, I'm going to let Randy take this one on again.
Randy, you there?
Okay. Randy's not here. I guess that Randy won't. Is he here?
I think Randy had to hang up. I don't see his line.
Okay, yeah, Randy's had a family emergency, which is why he's called in. So I'm going to ask somebody else to take it so that we can have some more voices.
Yeah, hey, it's Paul from Legacy U.S. Airways, Philadelphia, based on the JNC. Our sequence pay protection isn't, I believe maybe at American it cuts off at a certain level of flying. We're pay protected regardless of, if the pay protection kicks in according to the contract, it doesn't matter how many hours you have. Is that the question?
Yes. Well, we spend, we get a certain amount of hours on our schedule, whatever line you bid. And a lot of us go in and especially like in Chicago, trips are very scarce, and we work really hard to find an extra trip to pick up here and there. And when that trip gets canceled, it wasn't part of our original schedule, we're not protected for it.
Right. This is going to be trip pay protection, Erin. So it doesn't matter how many hours are on your schedule. It's going to be just looking at the trip, not at your monthly line.
Okay, beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Okay.
All right, Laura, thank you. It was nice seeing you last month.
Great. Thanks so much, Aaron.
Nice seeing you, too.
We've got Francis in California next. Francis from California, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Francis. Thank you for taking my call. Francis from LA. The first question is regarding to the negotiation list. One of the items is the language speaker, as far as the position of the union and also the forecast from both the union and the company. Can you give us an update on that one? And secondly, the second question in regards to the 777 and 200 conversion.
We're not clear on your question. We'll ask them one at a time, and just could you repeat your question, because none of us are really clear on it. Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me well?
We can hear you well now. Thank you.
Okay. The first question is in regards to the language speaker. It's still on the negotiation list, and I just want to know the position of the union as well as the forecast, what it's going to turn out to be. Second question is in regards to the 777-200 conversion. I know that everything is under progress right now, but what would the language speaker definition on that one? Is it cabins per cabins, or the question in regards to the new revision sent out to us, and that the term that you use is kind of strange. They have main cabin extra, main cabin, and first class. Can you clarify that, please?
Okay, I'm going to take a shot at the second question. I'm not sure I understand it. The main cabin and main cabin extra, the extra is just extra legroom. So it's really the same cabin. You're still in coach and you're still getting the coach service, but you're paying for it. Basically, extra legroom is what I understand. I don't know, does anyone else have a different view of that?
No, it's just
Okay, and now I'm going to have Michael Truon answer your language question.
Okay, Francis, this is Michael. Just to answer your question on the speaker, it's funny you asked because we are actually negotiating that as we speak. We were talking about that before this call, and we're going to resume back into the speaker language right after this call. But to answer your question, I can be only giving you so much information on this, as this is an open issue that we just started negotiating. And as we currently have at Legacy American Airlines right now as a speaker per cabin, we are working on that as we speak to, only of course seek improvements from both Legacy US and Legacy American to make sure we've got all the positions covered, but within proper negotiations with the company. So I just ask you to stay tuned. And as a speaker myself, speakers are being very well represented, and we will get you more information as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you very much, Francis. Appreciate you being on with those questions. We're going to get to our last live question in a moment. Again, if you have another question you wanted to pose but you didn't have a chance to ask it live, you can go to factrep@apfa.org. That's FACTREP @apfa.org. Now we've got Francis in Indiana next. Francis
Hello,
from Indiana,
this is
go ahead.
Francis Schmidt, and I am from Legacy US. And my question has to do with profit sharing, which we currently have with US. I understand that you had profit sharing before with American and that they're trying to get rid of profit sharing completely. And so my question is on that and how we're going to handle that.
Great. All right, well, I'm going to take the first shot, and then I'm going to pass it to Paul from Legacy US. We understand that you guys have it and that we don't, and we gave that up. Profit sharing is incredibly important to everybody right now, especially given the industry. It is not something that we're calculating in the cost. Profit sharing is over and above. As you know, our agreement gets us to industry rate, so we're really looking at an aggregate amount that the contract is going to be valued at. Profit sharing is aside from that. Delta has profit sharing, United has profit sharing, and the costs we're looking at exclude that. Now, when you say that they want to get rid of it, you've heard Doug Parker say, as I have many times, that he does not believe that it's valuable to the employees because he doesn't think it incentivizes them the way it should. He also thinks it's sort of risky business. So he has, made gestures that he'd like to buy it from the employees, recognizing that we're going to have to get something equal in value to the profit-sharing programs at Delta and United. So this is all part of the negotiation process, what that will look like. I can't tell you any more information than that, only because we haven't even discussed it. We're looking at the value of the contracts in the aggregate. And again, at Delta and United, the cost of the value of their profit sharing is not in that mathematical equation. It's on the outside, as it will be on the outside of ours. But let Paul finish up with that.
Hey, Francis. No, I just want to reiterate what Laura said. I don't think we're interested in losing that provision. It is something that we have been told that the company is interested in moving from the contract. We have a bunch of U.S. Airways people here at the table negotiating and protecting for that, and we hear you. We hear you on the profit sharing. We know how important it is to us, and we will continue to make sure it's at the forefront of these negotiations as we wrap up.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Francis.
And that is our last live question. Again, if you have further questions, email those to factrep@apfa.org, and I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Laura to close this out. Laura, go ahead.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say thank you all very, very much. I know how valuable your time is. The fact that you've stood up, the fact that you've mobilized and brought yourselves together to help us out is greatly, greatly appreciated. Again, we'll try to get you whatever tools we can. Facts, please don't let rumors fester. Get to us. And again, from the bottom of all of our hearts, we deeply appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you.